Can you see my screen?
Confirming. Confirming, yes.
All right. Okay. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you for participating in this event, and we would like to thank VST ECS for
We save the
inviting.
best for last.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know. First off, we would like to say thank you for letting us participate in this CXO summit as well. No, for at least it's a very good avenue for us to introduce who Commvault is and what our capabilities are, no, in terms of the data protection space. So my name is Romel Nisa. I am the solutions consultant that is for Commvault here in the Philippines. I also cover several other countries, particularly Vietnam, Indonesia, and part of Singapore. Right. So tonight I'll be presenting to you our data protection end-to-end data protection solution, which starts with backup and recovery, and then going to our disaster recovery solution as well as our appliance, which is Hyperscale X. No. So more than 100,000 organizations, and this is worldwide, right? So rely on us for data management and data protection, right? So at the very least, we have an expertise, or we know what it takes to be ready for anything, right? But it's based on our experience. It's not just about modernizing your backup and recovery infrastructure, but or delivering it as a service, or assisting it to move into the cloud. It is basically about ensuring the fundamental integrity of your business. When we say fundamental integrity, right? If in case of a disaster, how reliable is your data protection solution is to guarantee that you will be back in service at any given time quickly, right? And we recognize, because of aging data, because of all your new applications, especially during this COVID pandemic times, right? So we understand that your data spread in your applications are everywhere. So you may have some applications that are running in the cloud. You may have applications that are running on premise. But basically, it's spread anywhere. So you may have different copies on your data centers, and you may have several copies on your cloud as well. This kind of spread out infrastructure, spread out data, right? It creates a multi-generational data sprawl. So when you say multi-generational data sprawl, means that you have a certain type of applications, and you implement multiple versions of it, or you may need to or you have migrated or used a similar type of application, and then you use different generations of it as well, right? So without actually retiring old applications, everything is still active and running, right? And it's spread across your on-premise and your cloud infrastructure. So it's basically crazy to protect and recover from a disaster use with this kind of sprawl, right? So to protect all of this, you need a solution that provides, number one, ease of use, something that is easy to use. A single data protection solution that covers all of your workloads, databases, virtual machines. Now, we have a lot of inquiries about containerized applications, right? You must have a single point of management to protect and recover all of those solutions. This will lead to cost reduction while increasing resource efficiency, both on the hardware side and as well as the administration side. Okay? What about recoverability? It's not enough that you ensure that you have a backup in place, right? You have to also ensure that, or your solution at the very least has to give you the confidence that you can recover your data at any given point in time. You must have multiple copies across different targets, right? It's not enough that you have an on-premise backup that you can recover from. So you must also have an offsite data for long-term archiving and as an alternative source for your recovery. In that case, you must have a means to replicate your backup from point A to point B. And again, you must have a means to validate your backup content and do recovery testing without actually powering up your applications. Okay, how about data mobility? Data mobility, it maximizes your cloud investments, right? By ensuring or by giving you the capability to move applications and data from on-premise to the cloud and vice versa. And then there's the threat of malware and ransomware. So your solution must ensure that data integrity is always intact to prevent loss of stakeholder confidence, right? And this covers ransomware protection, encrypted replication, and rapid recovery from malware infection. Okay? Commvault can provide all of these solutions, and it starts with our backup and recovery platform. Okay? So with backup and recovery, we offer comprehensive backup and archiving. We also offer full and granular recovery, meaning entire systems, from bare metal or entire databases to granular recovery, as granular as a single VM, as a VM file, or even a table space for a database, right? It has built-in deduplication and compression without hardware dependency, right? So if your storage target does not support deduplication and compression, so Commvault does have its own facility to do compression and hardware. So we do not need additional hardware or additional license to enable the duplication and compression, at least on your backup infrastructure. It includes encryption at rest and in transit, so you're secure that even if your data is being replicated over the wire, right, from point A to point B, that is safe and encrypted as well. So we have built-in ransomware protection tools. We actually do a multi-layer approach to ransomware protection, which I will explain a bit later. We can integrate with snapshots, for faster backup and replication. And we have native cloud integration for data mobility. So native cloud integration, we do not need a separate gateway or third-party software, right, to connect your backup data and then move those data into the cloud. Okay? So we can move data directly from on-premise to the cloud. We have the broadest workload support in the market, at least in the data protection market. No? So we support almost all operating systems out there: Linux, Unix, Windows, right? Even iSeries, IBM iSeries. If you have iSeries solutions in your data center, so we support backup of those as well. Applications, anywhere from on-premise applications, traditional databases, even big data applications, right? And software as a service apps like Office 365 and Salesforce. So we have agents to back them up as well. So containerized applications under Kubernetes, Docker, even the open source platforms like OpenShift and Red Hat. So we have support for those containers and hypervisors as well. Now, speaking of hypervisors, so we do support different popular hypervisors like VMware, Hyper-V, Oracle VM, right? And even virtual machines that are running on the cloud, right? In Microsoft Azure or AWS. So we can actually back them up in the cloud or back them up on premise. Okay. So to complement our backup and recovery solution, so we offer Commvault disaster recovery for automated failover and failback of your applications. So in terms of workload support, so whatever applications that are supported by backup and recovery, disaster recovery also supports replication of those applications. And we are not limited to replicating between physical sites, but we are flexible in a disaster recovery solution is flexible to cover or to facilitate replication from on-premise data centers to cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle, and so on, right? And vice versa as well. So we can even do cloud to cloud disaster recovery. Say, for example, you have production applications that are running on AWS, and you want to make use of your Azure instances as your replica or replicated data. So we can facilitate disaster recovery from those cloud subscriptions as well. Okay? And it's not limited to data replication, right? So disaster recovery can also help you migrate applications from on-premise to cloud or cloud to cloud. We can facilitate automated failover and failback, even if your storage or your hosts or your operating systems do not have disaster recovery licenses or replication licenses. So through Commvault Disaster Recovery, we can facilitate DR orchestration. We can mount replicated copies to DR hosts for testing and validation or for development. And we can make use of our replica or the replicas that were or data that is replicated from on-premise to cloud and vice versa as your source for restoration or recovery. And all of these are managed, both backup and recovery and disaster recovery are managed together through a single powerful interface, which we call, Commvault Command Center. Okay. We also have our own appliance, right? So if you are more interested into an appliance approach or in an appliance approach to data protection, so Commvault Hyperscale X is our scale out solution, right, for data protection. Okay, so it's basically an all-in-one data protection platform with scale out storage and Commvault data protection software running. Okay, it comes basically in two form factors. So there is the Commvault branded appliance, which we call the Commvault Hyperscale X appliance. Okay, so everything, the hardware, the software are all Commvault branded. But if you are more comfortable working with your a third-party solution provider for hardware like HPE, Cisco, Supermicro, Dell, or even Fujitsu. Okay, so we have reference architecture or reference designs for those hardware providers as well. So it's very scalable. It can scale up to 5 petabytes. And since it's scale out, right? So it can, as the number of nodes scale, so even also the performance scales with the capacity. No? So it has built-in resiliency with ransomware protection embedded, and it also tolerates failures of multiple nodes using erasure coding rather than your traditional RAID. And it supports full Commvault backup, recovery, and DR capabilities. So all of these solutions, right? So backup and recovery, disaster recovery, even Hyperscale X can be managed using a single console, which we call the Commvault Command Center. So basically, this is the web user interface that administrators can use for the day-to-day tasks. No? So like building backup policies, creating reports, managing recoveries, managing ransomware protection. So everything is built in, or everything is embedded here in Commvault Command Center. So this is your single point of management. Even if you are implementing a multi-tenant and multi-site ComCell or backup environment, right? So you don't need separate management tools, right, for each tenant and for each site. So everything can be managed. All sites and all tenants can be managed using this single command center. Okay, so also included with the Commvault backup and recovery and disaster recovery solution is our copy data management. So with this solution, you can basically create copies of your databases and virtual machines, or even restore entire hosts, to different platforms, right? And make use of those copies, for testing, DevOps, and DR recovery, right? So our portfolio connects edge with cloud natively. So like what I mentioned in my first slide, so we have native integration with the cloud or with our cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. So we do not need any complex or expensive cloud gateways. No? So we connect to your cloud infrastructure directly. Okay? And with this native integration, we enable backup and recovery to the cloud, backup and recovery in the cloud for applications from the cloud to on-premise. We can facilitate application and data migration to the cloud, right? And we can also make use of your cloud infrastructure as your DR, right? So like what I said, maybe your applications or your production applications are running on-premise or in another cloud, and you want to make use of your cloud investments as your DR. so we can facilitate replication to your cloud subscriptions as well. So we enable P2V, B2B, B2B, and B2B conversion, right? And again, we support replications from physical to cloud to cloud, and cross-hypervisor support, okay, or cross-hypervisor replication. In terms of ransomware protection, again, we deploy a multi-layered approach because Commvault believes that in terms of ransomware protection, so you should not only focus on the data that is being stored in your backup infra or backup storage, right? So our principle is to protect the end-to-end backup infrastructure. No? So from the management server to the data movers, which we call the media agents, down to the backup storage, right? So we can help you identify security risks and take corrective action using our built-in security dashboard. We can help you build an air-gap copy of your backup, right? To make sure that you have an uninfected backup copy at any given point in time. We can apply storage and application locks, no, to implement storage immutability, even without support from your third-party storage, right? So we also have active monitoring of your file systems and backup data. We can integrate workflows and actions to ransomware alerts, and we can provide mechanisms to rapidly recover in case there is a ransomware infection in your data center. Okay, so we also offer ransomware protection service. So basically, this service helps you on top of backup and DR modernization, right? So this service offers you to identify the potential threats, gaps, and risks which impacts recoverability. And the result is we can propose a plan to provide recovery readiness, no, in case of ransomware infection. Okay, so we also we can help you validate that the Commvault solution continues to meet the business requirements in an ongoing review. No, so we need to make sure that the Commvault infrastructure or the Commvault environment that we put in place is always ready for any ransomware infection, or at least ready for recovery. No? And also our team will guide, support, and manage the recovery of critical systems in the event of a ransomware attack. Okay, so this is not a one-all-be-all solution. No? So you can opt to just choose to avail of the design and plan phase, or you can avail of the review phase or the response phase. So it's not something parang wholesale. No? So you can purchase this service on a piecemeal basis. Okay, so in a nutshell, so we offer intelligent data protection with our Commvault backup and recovery solution, and we can complement that with disaster recovery for an end-to-end data protection platform. Right? We have the industry's broadest workload coverage, right? Anywhere from virtual machines, physical servers, databases, cloud applications, or even on-premise, or even if you are in a hybrid setup. So we support data protection of those data centers as well. And then we offer unified customer management experience with Commvault Command Center. And we offer you a flexibility of choice, no, in terms of the delivery model. Right, so we can deliver Commvault as a software-only solution. So meaning we implement the backup solution, right? The Commvault data protection solution, where you own and manage on top of your hardware. We can offer Hyperscale X for an integrated appliance approach. We can work with our managed service partners and have them offer you something like a backup as a service. Or we can offer our own backup as a service solution, which is called Metallic. But unfortunately, it is not yet available here in the Philippines, but there is a roadmap to support that here in the Philippines. And once it's available for available in the market. So we will have another launch for that as well. So like what I mentioned, we are recognized, or sorry, we have over 100,000 customers that rely on our solution to protect their data, right? So in that sense, we have been recognized by Gartner as a leader in the data center backup and recovery space, for the past 10 years, where we scored #1 in physical server environment protection, #1 in virtual server environments, including containers, and #1 also in public cloud data protection environments as well. Okay, so that is a very high level view of what Commvault is and what our offerings are. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them and post them in the chat box, or you can email us directly, or you can course your questions, or if you need some presentations or personal presentations, please course them through VST or contact us directly.